Welcome to Curious Chimps Podcast. I'm your co-host, Nathaniel Perl.
And I'm Sam Sheva.
And welcome.
We here at Curious Chimps are law-abiding citizens. We do not endorse anything illegal. And anything we discuss is for entertainment and not information purposes. We are not experts, and nor do we claim to be. So please, consult doctors, do your research, read the label, and for the love of all that is holy, be safe. All right, let's talk about drugs.
Curious Chimps.
For the future, I tell you, we got a couple guests lined up, eh? Next week we got Mikey.
We may as well bring it up. Yeah. What's this guy's last name?
Michael Marjaba. Probably butchered it, but Marjaba, I think.
I like it though. Marjaba.
Yeah, Marjaba.
It sounds like an exclamation in another language.
Yeah.
Marjaba! You know, like someone wins a contest.
He's a fascinating guy, man. He did Mount Everest's height in meters on the bike.
In Montreal, on the hill.
Yeah, on the mountain. On the Camille Hood is the road name.
Halfway through that, you must be dying. Just like, why did I do this? Just marathon mind, you know? Like, what the fuck am I doing?
Oh, yeah. And we didn't go too deep into it, but he had some moments where it's like...
Save it for the mics.
Yeah.
That's a good... You gotta remember that. We keep talking to each other off mic, and it's like, damn it!
Yeah. So that was a 12-hour experience, or 13 hours. So he'll go deep onto that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
The week after that, we got Stephen Voice.
Yeah.
I'm always bad with the PHs.
What does he prefer?
We'll find out.
I listened to some of his stuff, but I want to look into him.
Yeah.
He's an artist. You know, the other guy's an athlete. I just want to talk to him. But this guy's going to be an artist. I want to come in. I don't want to say stroking his ego, but a little. I want to give him props for his creation and be okay, I'm a little familiar with you. Let's just jump into what you're doing, and then we can kind of skip some steps even maybe and see what he feels about stuff.
Nice.
You know,
yeah.
I kind of said that in a stupid way, but
But hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and get his perspective on how he made it, right? And
exactly.
He does a lot of things, like martial arts. He's in martial arts. He does music. He's also a film producer. It's gonna be very cool to see.
I love that he's a creative.
Yes.
I love meeting people like that.
Yeah.
I love finding out that I should be that way in a sense, or maybe we all should. You know, it's really
harnessing that creative energy. You know.
Yeah. I'd love to anyone successful in any way like that, also putting themselves out there and touching on a lot of different things that all kind of mesh into each other, blah blah blah. I want to know what they think about psychedelics, plant medicines, about trips, about Mark was really clear on looking for discomfort and finding a way to find comfort in that. And I mean, Rogan talks about it all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And he's like a badge of success, you know, or has many badges of success, if you will. So it works.
Yeah.
You know,
it's true. It's just crossing those lines every time and seeing what's on the other side. And usually it's fruits and growth for the most part when you go into that uncomfort.
Yeah.
You know,
why can't I figure that one out? I'm just resisting all of that. Well, you know what? I'm learning a lot doing the podcast. I'm not going to sell myself too short.
Nice.
But I think, I don't know, a lot of us have it too easy, and we just need to get that drilled into our heads at some point in our lives. A lot of what we are is just learned. So that's a really weird and complicated thing about being human. It's not instinctual. There's language involved. There's experience involved. There's a conditioning you have to overcome because it's contradicting that. And no. You know, it's
yeah. So I think before you get to that, you have to do all that unprogramming first. And that's for us. We found value in psychedelics for that.
And that's where ayahuasca comes in.
Yeah, because I realize it's really just about taking brick by brick out of the wall until the wall is completely gone, and then you re-put the bricks back in the right order.
I'm so glad I have water.
Fuck yeah.
I ran here a little bit.
So brother, let's throw a theme onto this podcast.
Let's dive right in. You want to do it?
You can throw it out there, and I'll.
Okay, bitches, money. No. Okay. Well, here's the thing. The theme is your last few weeks, essentially. The theme is you. Well, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about the first experience in depth. It's a very personal thing. I'm sure it adds to it. The ayahuasca ceremony.
Briefly, yeah.
So. Yeah. You had so we'll leave it at that. You had an ayahuasca ceremony. It was a little different than usual, and then 2 days later you fucking went to a Vipassana meditation retreat, the one in Montebello. Anyone listening, you're in Montreal probably, of course, and I recommend it. I'm sure he'll recommend it also. And Yeah. I mean, back to back, I just want to pick your brain, man. You're the guest today. Fuck it.
Yeah.
You want to just riff? You have some shit to say? You have anything on your mind?
It was so fresh when I got back. I remember I called you on like that rant. I was just like, yo, it's all so clear.
I was like, yo, I got Mark on. And he's like, you're like, fuck. I wanted to talk about that shit.
But like, it's nice that the dust has settled a bit, and now it's like all those, because whenever you do something different like that, you usually get a rush of ideas and your mind's scattered and everything's making like it's almost making sense, but it's so fresh that it hasn't really settled in place. So your ideas might not even make sense coming out because there's so many of them. So it was kind of nice to have those weeks, because it's been a week since I was there, to just like think about it and like feel it and apply the theory, which was really cool.
Yeah, there's like a little, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of conscious integration, because I mean, we discussed it at length on the podcast and other ayahuasca ceremonies, etc. But I feel like time just does the job no matter what anyway.
It's so true, man. And like I'm realizing that more and more, that you have to respect time. And like when you do something or something happens, you can intellectually get over it right then and there, but there is an actual fragment of time that you have to go through to get over that thing deeply at your core,
Blood in, blood out.
Yeah.
I used to say that all the time when I was younger. I always referred to it in terms of like relationships. I was just observation. I saw people, they had like a 2-year relationship or something, which for me is huge. That's okay. I got a 7-year relationship. Yeah. It's like, it's gonna take a good 7 years for you to like dislocate from that experience, and to like love again, or whatever the cliche is. And it's also like 7 years, let's say, of work. Yeah. So it might even be less if you give it the attention, but some people kind of ignore the issue, and then it gets prolonged, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So time's just the bitch that we have to trudge through. Like, we try to bypass it. There's a lot of philosophy, psychedelics. It's even just dreaming, and like even just fatigue, even just having fun. Time flies when we're having fun, air quotes. Yeah. Fuck, man. It's like, no, time's just there. Yeah. It's malleable as fuck. It's very like elusive and relative and all these other things. But to say time doesn't exist, or it's an illusion, like one hundo, like, no, well, that's the realm we're in right now. We're bound by time, and it's just a reality. Yeah.
Some drugs will make you feel like time has disappeared, and it may have, but maybe not in this realm. Just the realm you went into is where there's no time. But
it's like, what? Like, you're in another pocket, and like you could live a life, or you could like some slow ass shit could be happening. I don't know. It's hyperbolic time chamber, Dragon Ball Z style.
But in this physical body, in this 3D world, we're bound by the 4D, by the time.
You must have felt that shit too, right? I thought it's been like a good 4 years for me now since I went, but I can remember it's palpable. It's a weird experience, right? It's like novel, and time was your companion, friend, enemy, whatever you want to call it, but it was you and time, man.
I was hugging those clocks. I'm like, those are the only things that keeping me 1 foot on the ground, or otherwise I float away into the abyss. But I'll go into the ayahuasca ceremony pretty briefly. Just I don't even remember like the you take the fruits from every experience, and it's like it carries on with you. It was just a fuck fest of celebration in my mind. Like, that's the best way to put it. It was, first of all, so usually when we go to ceremony, there's music, there's some type of guidance,
breathing techniques, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, like there's a curriculum involved that's kind of holding you in this space to allow you to really just experience it without anything to worry about. Everything's taken care of. And I'm sure it's the same theme in Peru or in Brazil. It's like the shaman is facilitating the group, and everything's pretty simple and easy for you to just get through and just have your experience, which is beautiful. So this one was a little bit different, where there was no guidance. It was maybe just the facilitator just gave us all our glass, and then he did the second and third service, but that was it. And there was no music. There was pretty much do what the fuck you want. You want to get up, you want to go outside, you want to go to the fire, but in the temple, maintain silence. Do it for each other. And out of that was just, it was such a release, such a relief too, because there was nothing. I don't know what happened, but I think throughout going to ceremonies as often as I've been going, it's like I go for me, but for the group as well now. And I don't know if it's intentional or if it just that's where it's developing. But like when we're in a group ceremony, not like the one I went to, like the previous ones, it's like I feel like I'm a pillar of support. And even though I'm going through my shit, I want to be in that room and just hold my presence to help everyone and myself work through that shit. And so usually that would manifest in me sitting up more straight, singing the songs that they play, and just really trying to just like send love to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the first time where I'm like, no, okay, this is for you right now. Like, this is your time. Like, fucking chill. And I'm like, you know what? Okay. And I laid down with the blankets like covered. I was like in fetal position for half the night. And just, it was like such a warmth welcoming to myself. Like this is your night. Embrace it. This is all for you. And that's what I got out. And they did like rapé in the midsection, like the mid ceremony, you know, and I didn't even go for rapé. I'm like, no, I'm perfect. I'm just staying right here.
That's so cool. It sounds like this big brother energy that you usually have that I really don't like. I worry about myself kind of instinctually and like just a little bit self-centered, you know. Yeah. But you always talk about it that way. Even the first time I went, a little bit before also, and it's like it just gets emphasized. I don't know if it's always been that way for you, but it's cool to see that it flipped. You know, like whatever expectation you had, you're like, you know, these guys can handle themselves. Like something in before or during the plant medicine working on you was like, hey man, this is your time. Yeah. You know, you're a them also. Like, you be a pillar for yourself, or just don't be a pillar, whatever the fuck, you know.
It was really nice, man. It was like really refreshing and like a huge weight taken off your shoulders, you know. Not that being a pillar for people is a weight. It's like it was a completely introspective time, and the silence just really allowed you to just go into the flow, and not even, because some songs come on, you know, when the chorus is coming, you can pull the ending out of your mind because you know it's coming. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of say, okay, that's about a 4-minute song, and that kind of keeps you in this world, and you kind of know where you are. Here, like, hours could have passed, minutes could have passed, I don't know, you know. And there's like during service, for second service, like the candle lit, and I like reality just like pieced together like Tetris puzzles, and I opened my eyes, I'm like, oh shit, okay, I'm in my room, I'm in the temple, my arms are here, here's my legs, okay, there's the facilitator, there's this guy, there she is, okay, let's take that cup, drink the cup, eyes closed, and I was gone again. It was the craziest experience, man. It was like just gone in this flow of fucking consciousness.
It's like when you're at La Ronde and it's like the end of the shifts. So you just stay on, like there's no line, and you just go like, you just like wave your hand up, and the guy lets you ride again without getting out.
Yeah, it's that, man. It's so actually one thing came out of there, because I was actually really, really nervous in the beginning of the ceremony, because I took a huge hit of rapé 5 minutes before ceremony started. Like monstrous, and it was El Presidente, that's what it was called. And I'm like, yeah, I could handle rapé.
I love how they have names. It's like we're gonna get like rapé iPhone 7 soon, you know, like
this is the upgraded iOS 7.
Oh god.
So it fucking knocked me out of my socks, and I'm just like, the whole room is spinning, and I'm about to puke. 5 minutes later, we're taking our first glass. So I'm like, oh, hold it on. My buddy next to me, right after he took the glass, he puked it out because he did the rapé too, and he just couldn't hold it in. I was laughing, I was dying, man. I'm like, fuck, I feel you, dog. I feel you, man. I tried holding it. It actually stayed in, but like, fuck, drinking like that. And that ayahuasca for that ceremony was so bad. It was one of the worst I've ever had. It was like clumpy, like stew. Ugh. I just thinking about that one, it was so hard to intake. Ugh. Yeah. So that on top of the rapé, I was just sweating balls of like, fuck, don't puke. You know, and there's no sound. There's no, okay, this is what's happening next. It's just the light goes out. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm in the dark and this is happening.
And you just hear every now and then.
But one thing that came out of this was so profound was this mantra, and I mentioned it to you, and it fucking came.
Mentioned it. You passed it to me, bro. I don't know what the fuck, man.
I
needed to hear that shit.
Because you were in a place where you were uncertain too, and you know. I
didn't even realize I heard you when you said it, man. But like it just kicked in like later that day. Anyway.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's my gift to all the listeners. This mantra that just came out of the blue, because I was getting really nervous and anxious. Because I was very nervous leading to the ceremony, because I was so prepared for. I'm usually so prepared for like structure. You know, everything is going like. You kind of get familiar with how the weekend works when you go there. And this was no structure. It's on your own, and that's scary. That's no hand holding you, you know? So I was really, that was coming to the surface, that anxiety and stress, and I realized it's deeper than for that moment, if there's something going on inside. And then this mantra, I don't know how it came to me, but it was repeating like intensely. It's like, don't give in to fear, don't give in to fear, don't give in to fear, don't give in to fear. And it was going in like a loop, you know? And then I'm like, things started getting more scary, and then mantra got louder and faster. Louder, don't give it to fear, don't give it to fear, don't give it to fear, don't give it to fear.
I remember when you texted it to me, you sent it like that.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
just line. And I was like, okay.
and like I was holding on to it like as words, as if it was like an arm. Like I was holding on to it. It's like, don't give it to fear. And it was showing me examples of my life. It's like, you gave into fear here. Let's correct it. Don't give it to fear. And then I corrected it like a memory, and then it showed me where it led. I'm like, holy fuck. And then it showed me other memories, and it was using my life as examples. Just don't give it to fear. Don't give it to fear. Don't give it. And I like worked through so many fucking traumas in my mind of things that happened that maybe you did the wrong decision, but that wrong decision still imprinted it in you. And like it still affects you, even
That's
though the outcome, and that's just fear.
Give into.
Yeah, so look into it. Okay, this is what it is. I made that decision based out of fear, whatever, but I corrected it now. Even though it didn't actually correct in the physical world, I corrected it in my mind. You know, it's like sometimes you make decisions and they were the wrong decisions, and you can't change the actual physical reality of it, but you can change your perception.
Isn't that the reality that's left though? Like, isn't that you are changing reality? Because the reality is that the past is over. Yeah. And it's like not a thing, and you're carrying it, and that's the reality. So you are changing reality because you plant fear, you grow fear, you harvest fear.
And fear that's dictating your direction.
Yeah.
Until you fucking cut that thread, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like literally that's the ripple effect of those decisions and whatever it is.
And if you go along with the metaphor or analogy, I don't know, but like if you keep going with the farmer visual, like it's scary to change crops. You're not sure what's going to happen. Unless you know what you're doing. There's like there's monocropping and multi-crop and crop rotation, all these things. I'm not a farmer. I'm just saying like change is scary. Yeah. But then that's a fear, you know, like it becomes this kind of meta awareness, and you're just like, oh, I'm giving into fear here too, and oh shit, and then like this freedom starts raining down on you, and you're like, oh my god,
and it's crazy, man. And like I had a vision too, and this I'm so blessed to experience this vision, man. Like I hope someone can paint it perfectly to how I picture it, and I'll try to describe it, but it's solidified in my mind's eye. Like I see it wherever I go. I can picture it as if it was a painting I looked at up close. Yeah. And I don't know if I mentioned it to you off air.
It's not coming to mind right now.
Okay, I don't remember. But so after that mantra, like working through it, literally it must have been hours of just repeating that like intensely. I thought I was going insane at some points, but then that would fuel it too. I saw
You're like, I guess I'm going insane. I'm afraid about it. Let's go.
Yeah. So it was like a giant pathway. It was very dark and gloomy, very lucid dreamy, like things are the same but different, and everything's like squiggly. It's very psychedelic. You know, the psychedelic art, it's not reality, it's shifted. And there's like this giant carnival to my left, huge carnival. And because in those realms it's fractal, so the artwork is like something no one could ever actually draw, because everywhere you look there's things moving and twisting. And it's like your perspective is way bigger than our visual senses. So it's not like a 3x4 photo. It's literally this landscape of art, you know? So
that's a perfect way of putting it. I guess that's why people like Alex Grey, is like that. Like he's kind of capturing a photo of like endlessness in a lot of his paintings.
Yeah, it's true. And like you look at it and it's like, it's a photo, but it's kind of, it's more than there's depth. So yeah, it was that. And it was like an aerial view, you know, like I'm seeing it, but I was kind of navigating through it. So on my left, there's this giant carnival. It's fucking beautiful. Like merry-go-rounds, there's clowns on it. There's like these crazy roller coasters. Everyone's bags of popcorn and hot dogs and fucking corn dogs and nachos. I remember seeing nachos or cheese, and like it's like so cartoony. Like the cheese is dripping down his chin, you know.
And there's like that.
yeah, it's very carnival like. And everyone's there's all of that. Anything you could picture was there, you know.
Step right up.
And there was also that machine where they hammer and the thing goes up, you know, like bing. You know?
Awesome.
So
awesome.
I see everyone's going. There's a fucking massive line. Everyone's like rushing in, and they're paying with this currency. And this currency was like, it just showed like a fear dollar. I remember seeing fear dollar. And everyone's giving their fear dollars and they're getting admissions. The more fear dollars they give, the more tickets they have for the access to the carnival. So you see people with like a shit ton of tickets, you see people with a few tickets, and they're just entering the carnival. And then like the more tickets you have, you can do the bigger rides and you stay there, and it's fucking safe, comfortable, beautiful. And I'm like looking at everyone, and everyone's like fucking, some people are super fat, some are skinny, and it's just a variety of people, every type of person there. And then I look to the right. I don't remember my focus shift. I look to the right and I see this fucking path, this gloomy fucking path, looks swampy, and there's a forest with a few trees, but most of the trees are like dead. You know those forests when it's like raining, like acid rain or something, and like all the leaves are gone and it's just like those trees. I don't know if it's acid rain that does that, but it's like,
it looks like a fire went through.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just like there's no leaves, there's no branches. It's just like, well, there's branches, but there's no growth on it.
Yeah.
It looked like that, and it was very dark. And there was like a giant sign above it saying the Beyond. And there was like maybe one or two stragglers just going in that direction instead of waiting in line at the carnival. And I saw this, and I'm like, whoa. Fear is that. Fear is everything comfort, everything that keeps you in that carnival of love and fun and all that, and safety. The Beyond is, no one fucking knows where it is and where it leads or what happens, but there's only a few people that want to explore the unknown, and whatever you find there is what you find for yourself. Or you can stay in the carnival of fear and just fucking do your thing, have your fun, whatever. If that's your comfort, go.
Wow.
But the Beyond is the Beyond, and that's where hopefully most people's paths will end up directing towards, because there's something there that we don't know about. You know, and that's on the other side of fear. You know, it's two coins. Fear is what's holding you back. On the other side is the unknown. You don't know what the fuck's going to happen, but fucking roll the dice and go, you know?
Like YOLO style.
Yeah.
Like not to compress it into like a stupid term, but
that's it.
Like literally, I mean, there's this intrinsic value to this, like, you know, chasing this curiosity, like seeing the other side of this mystery. Like you're going to die. Why? Like you've gone on all the rides.
Yeah.
You know, you've even worked behind the counter a few times, maybe. You know, like the carnival is fear, or fear is fear is a carnival. It sounds like a song, or like the name of an album or something. Yeah, that speaks to me, man. It speaks to me hard, especially lately. I feel like I just backpedaled so much on some stuff because I just, like, this world opened up for me. Wow. You know, because of meditation and yoga and ayahuasca and all these psychedelic experiences that I had recently, or like in the last 5-6 years of my life, let's say. And then I'm just like, but you know, insert excuse here. And suddenly I'm like in a more comfortable job, and I'm like seeing a girl, and I'm just like, I'm chilling out in a way and being like, you can do this in steps. You don't have to dive. But I have some friends who are like, fucking dive. What's the worst that could happen? Yeah. So there is a fear dictating my actions still, and that makes me a little uneasy. But I guess I don't have to fear the fear. You know, but I don't want to get too meta either. Like, what do you think about that? Like, is it just like fight that fear? Like, go to war a little bit? Like, there's a fun in that. Yeah.
I mean, it's to the best of your ability and what you can handle, right? Like in that vision, I saw people giving small currencies for small amounts of fear. And I see people with stacks of cash, of fear coins, giving big fear currencies. I guess we all have fear, and that's part of it, you know, and maybe sometimes giving into it for moments and then knowing that you got to get out of it. That's fine too. But if it's dictating your decisions, like your core decisions for big things, that's where you really got to kind of step back and be like, okay, what's directing the ship right now? You know.
So maybe I'm still harvesting a lot of fear, but I'm trying not to plant as much.
Yeah, it's not controlling the ship anymore.
And there's a lot of times when I feel like, how do I put it? I can't tell if it's a cop out or not. You know, it's just time will tell, but I've had experience, and I act on that experience like instinctively, like a little like semi-consciously, which I'd like to get rid of that, but I'm a human. I don't know. It's going to take a lot of practice, but a lot of that experience, good or bad, especially the bad, unfortunately, it's just the truth. Like, you learn from those things and you just act bright after, you just act better. So I wonder if I'm just a byproduct of those things. I don't want to just like fall down the hill of causality, you know, and make my actions justified. But at the same time, it's like, maybe, you know, I went skydiving once, and that's kind of like a good metaphor, where it's like I couldn't bring myself to jump out, and I just kind of closed my eyes and let myself fall. And maybe I'm doing that a lot when I go to India or I take ayahuasca, and these things are invaluable and educational, but maybe I should take it easy sometimes and just be like, look, man, you go way up and then you go way down. Like, maybe there's a better way to do this, a more sustainable way to do this. Everybody's different. Everyone's got their own journey. Maybe the fear, in my case also, is not having an ego about it and not trying to win some kind of race, even if it's like the spirituality race, you know? Anyway, I'm just like thinking, I'm like riffing on my own shit.
But
But that's profound, man. And that was like, you went there.
Yeah,
that's like a visual, and the emotions were like, how did that feel? Like I know it's just like a memory now. It's like a little disjointed, but
there was no emotion attached to it. It was a complete observer state. So I wasn't attached to either path. It was like just seeing this landscape, and this landscape was pretty much how the world runs, you know. And then I saw, like, afterwards, my ego came back and my mind was more rational. And I'm like, oh, you see this in sports, you see this in finance, you see this in art, you see this. There's a 1% in every category you look, because there's people that stay in fear. Whether they're amazing musicians, okay, that's one thing. Let's use musicians, for example. But to be the greatest, or to be in that category, they overcame all fear. They took all chances. So that's what I was saying. There's levels of fear and currencies. Like, you may have made it in your craft to X level, but you're still afraid for that last leap. And that's where the world champions of that category are hanging. Not to say that's where it's the best. It's just everyone's going a little bit further in the beyond path, a little bit less, you know?
I see the value of what you're saying. Like maybe some people do those things out of fear. You know, you read that book where that guy says 10,000 hours, and then everyone's like drilling their fucking, you know, they're playing piano all the time or whatever because their parents say so. Or it's just a good perspective. It's a good like example, but
and we're bound by it though. We can't fully get out of fear no matter what we do. You know, there's things that are going to come up, but it's how we approach it. You know,
acceptance is this weird global thing that and then like on top of that, not only is it like infinitely applicable, which is tricky because it's like you feel like you win or you have to stop or something, which is like this subtle ego thing. But then the ego even hijacks acceptance, and like it can turn into excuses. Yeah. And it's like, no, there's the change and momentum are part of life, and that's something you need to accept as well. And there's this weird oscillation between like conscious and unconscious, essentially. And that's natural. We have to accept that too. I hate that. But I accept my hate, I guess, and I love my hate, and I accept my love, and it just it doesn't end. You know?
You know. You accept that you accept your hate, and you accept that you accept your love, and that fucking spirals down too.
Yeah.
So that was what I took out of it, man. And I think there was a lot of, like, that was very deep, and I think it came to the surface because of what I was preparing for. The ayahuasca, 3 days later, the Vipassana, and I think that was doing is like I ripped the Band-Aid off, the wound is exposed, and now the pus is starting to come out, you know, and like that pus is my lifetime of things that I have inside that are just coming to the surface. So I know for the next 13 days, the ayahuasca and then the 10 days there, I know I'm going to do a lot of introspection. So that whole fear mantra, I think, was like the perfect prep, because I was so excited after that for Vipassana. I'm like, look, I'm not nervous. I was never nervous, but now, like, I'm excited to continue the integration process and really go deeper into where my mind was being taken, you know? So I'm going to talk about Vipassana.
Just to start you off, I'm sure you have a bunch to say anyway, but like, I remember how Vipassana went, how I felt. Obviously it was like a weird and new thing, and I took some getting used to, and like everyone talks about like day 3, 4, you get a little crazy, or maybe day 6, maybe day 5, who knows, everyone's different. But I remember how I felt after the ayahuasca ceremony, and I would have fucking like killed, you know, like, bad choice of words, but like I would have killed to have 10 days of silence after that ceremony, and just like stew in it, and just like, so did you feel that way, or did you just like, because you're a lot more familiar with ayahuasca, and this was definitely a different experience this time, but like I'd love to know how did they click into each other, if at all?
That's a good question. They're both talking about the same truths, you know. It's just a continuation of the story and the work you've been putting in. So the way I look at Vipassana is it's almost like the perfect prerequisite if anyone wants to dip into ayahuasca, or any psychedelic. It's so valuable in what it teaches you, because you're in a sober state, you're meditating a fucking 10 hours a day, and you're sleeping maybe 6 hours, and and you're silent the whole time. So you're forced to come up with these terms that you would face in psychedelic experiences: surrender, accept, observe, non-react. Anicca, the universal law of impermanence, which is a constant theme of the whole fucking 10 days.
This too shall pass.
Yeah. So,
boom.
Yeah. So that's why, man, I think Vipassana is a beautiful, beautiful fucking prerequisite. But I understand that 10 days is hard for a lot of people to commit to.
Yeah. Just life gets in the way.
But if you can, it's something that is magical. Because you're coming to these realizations through yourself with I guess you are altering your state by what you're doing. It's like sitting a ridiculous amount of hours, working through pain and stuff like that. But it's going to give you a lot clearer sight for when you go into ayahuasca or mushrooms or LSD or whatever. Because you're going to kind of understand all these concepts, this too shall pass, observe, non-react, surrender, accept. Like, these things are huge pillars in the psychedelic realms,
and they become experiences through Vipassana. Yeah.
And that's the number one way of learning is experience, and that's what you'll learn through through psychedelics. But Vipassana is very clear, and because it's so long in duration, the concepts really solidify in your mind.
There's a nice philosophy, like, accompanying this very, like, simple enough but constant, consistent 10 days of practice, and together it's like you fucking fan this flame into like a bonfire.
Yeah, I
swear, like, I didn't do it for months sometimes, and I can still just, like, get into that specific technique, and it just pops me back into this. Maybe I can't go deep into that well without a good amount of practice, let's say, but I could just look down that well anytime and see how deep it goes, if you will.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. So that was, 3 days later I'm there, and it was hard, It had some moments where it was really fucking hard. Day 2 in the video, because at night they put a discourse on Goenka, SN Goenka. If you guys ever heard of him, Google, YouTube, SN Goenka. But don't overdo it, because if you ever plan on going to Vipassana, it's nice to have it fresh. But going into it, I kept no expectations, and I didn't want any information from anyone. I wanted to just go pure, no idea what the fuck I'm getting into. And so if you want to listen to SN Goenka, his philosophy and his knowledge is so deep, and his wisdom, that, like, every night they'd put on an 1.5-hour video, and that was our only form of some type of entertainment. It's not even entertainment, it was lessons, but that's the only sound we'd probably hear. And he would just go deep on the technique and talk about the process and what we'll be feeling and where we're going next. And he said day 2 and day 6 are going to be brutal, and fucking right he was. They were fucking brutal.
Day 2's like, should I be here? Day 6 is like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, day 6, I just finished 5 days. I gotta do another fucking 5 days. God damn it.
Oh yeah, halfway mark.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what drives people nuts. You're like, dude, I can't do that again.
Yeah.
It's a big hill, man.
Yeah.
But then you're rolling down the other side.
And then all of a sudden, day 6 passes, day 7's coming in, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're getting there. We're a fucking team. We're directing the ship all together. It's a heavy storm, and we're getting through it.
I love that. Like, the half thing, like, it's our minds playing tricks on us. Like, you have an 8-hour work day, let's say. You work at an office, you got the normal work day. You see the top of the day and you go, I got 8 hours ahead of me. You're halfway through and you go, oh, I only have 4 hours left.
It's hilarious.
But I hear my brain sometimes going, you're only halfway through. And it's like, shut up, part of my brain. Whatever part of my brain that is that just said that, go fuck yourself sideways with a Christmas tree. You fucking jabroni.
Yeah.
I had 8 hours before. Now I only have 4. Yeah. You could play with the math, but, like, those last 4 hours really pass by fast if you just look at it in a different perspective. Anyway, I'm just like...
Even with my clients, I say it's like the last reps or the last 30 seconds or whatever you're doing, like that you should go even harder than when you started, because it's at the end is right there. Like, you can fucking push.
You can see the finish line.
Yeah, so fucking just fucking go,
My brother, man, I went to the gym with him and he was like, he was always saying, like, we're doing planks or something. He's like, there's 10 seconds left. And he just pauses. He goes, any man can hold this for 10 seconds. You know, he would always say some shit like that. And I was like, you know, the first time maybe you laugh because you feel like embarrassed or something. But he was like it worked. Yeah. It's like, he's right. It's just 10 seconds. It's like, even if it's a full minute, you're just like, he's like, anyone can hold for a minute. You just did 5 minutes. Do another minute. Come on. You know, like, it's just, come on kind of mentality.
But that's it. Like,
when I used to teach, really use that.
When I
in Vipassana.
Oof, no.
Well, I guess that's Goenka. I always say Goenki. Yeah. People laugh at me. I guess he's your fucking Buddha style personal trainer.
Oh, 100%. He's like, you have to work. he's like, the 6th day is finished. You have 4 more to go. Yeah. You have to work hard, work diligently.
You're giving me flashbacks.
Work diligently. What else he say? Work diligently. Proficient. Anyway, he has like, he repeats these words the whole week, the whole 10 days. I think intentionally to work on the
your ego's like a snake up in there, and he's snake charming your shit, man. Yeah. He's just like looking at. He's not talking to you. He's talking into you. He's going Anicca, and you're just like, what the fuck are you saying, bro? And by day 6, you're like Anicca.
Yeah, man. Oh, that's so true.
No wonder people think it's a fucking cult.
Yeah, but it's like the furthest thing from a cult, which is hilarious. It's like they imprinted it to that's not a religion or anything. But
Vipassana means like the thing the way it is. Something like that. Like, I don't know the exact translation, but it's like things as they are. Like, it's a practice of meditating, and it's like, don't visualize something. Don't, like, you close your eyes, you see black, motherfucker, because that's what's there. Maybe you see some purple and shit too, but like, that's because it's what you see. Mm-hmm. Maybe you see lights. I don't know. You feel your body. Yeah. There's no chanting. There's no mantras. No. You don't picture a god or the universe, whatever. It's just you. You have a body. You're here. Fuck you.
Yeah.
And unfuck you, I guess.
And on top
you
of
gotta unfuck yourself.
Yeah. On top of that, there's no controlled breathing. It's your natural breath as it comes. Reality as it is. You would say that like it's such a statement. Yeah. It's like observe reality as it is, not how you want it to be.
That's like, it's so hard for a human to stop creating. I had a friend who used to say that to me. I'd be like, oh, I'm in a rush, and then like I got to do this because of this. And he's just bro, stop creating. Yeah. And I was like, you're a fucking genius. Yeah. Yo, Sofiane, man, if you ever listen to this podcast and you hear this, I give you props. You taught me a lot. This guy used to make me scream. Like, he was poking my ego, like, so efficiently, man. Anyway, we'll talk about that another time.
Nice. Yeah. Fucking you need people like that, too, though.
He's great. But he's, like, next level. I was not ready at the time. I haven't seen him in a long time. Yeah. Like, he's just off doing yoga or something. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'll see him some other time.
That's hilarious.
They come and they go.
So the 10 days, like, I'm not going to go day by day on how it went, but I'll sum up, like, the main filet mignon of it, from all the fat that was trimmed off.
I thought you were going to say feeling, and then you said filet mignon. But that's perfect. All right, so give me the good cut.
To sum it up briefly, it was fucking hard, fucking beautiful, amazing, horrible, all the labels you want to give it, it was. But the overall picture, it was incredible. It was really work. It was really deep work on the mind. On top of that, all that spiritual growth and stuff, there was just the nastiest farts happening the whole 10 days, man. And you can't help but laugh. You know, the child in me kept coming out. Like, you're 70 guys in a fucking small area, and we're walking in circles in all the little breaks. And there's some old guys there, shameless, don't care anymore, you know.
Like, just letting it go.
I wish it sounded that clean. It was like wet, and
it was like the fra,
like a machine gun,
like the scared
like
the
take
scary
cover
ones.
There's
the ones that startle you.
Yeah, they're loud, you know. So this one guy with the fucking, I'm not gonna call him out, but he was like an old man, just shameless, and I love him for it because he gave me so much comedy.
He's not listening, bro. Call him out.
He was wearing like a Cancun sweater, so anyone who did Vipassana with me, you'll know what I'm talking about. He's just walking, man, rips these burps, like these fucking intense burps, and then followed by like a machine gun fart. So like,
my God.
I would kind of guide myself, like I'm near him and we're all walking, and I'm like, oh fuck, he burped. Okay, get the fuck out of the way, and then machine gun fart. I'm just laughing the whole time, man.
It's so hard not to communicate, not to create. You know, like I was just saying, like, I remember, I just remembered it now while you were talking, but like, I wasn't there, but I was told this story at my Vipassana thing. Like, you're not supposed to kill anything. Like that's part of your rules while you're there.
6 precepts.
Yeah. And I mean, they're all there for reasons, and Goenka gets deep into them. Everything is explained. Don't fucking worry, you know? But the don't kill anything is pretty straightforward. I'm not going to murder like my bros or something. Like, but it's also like, you know, one time I had like an itch, and then like something like rolls in between my fingers, and I'm like, oh no, and I see like a half crushed ant, and I'm like, fuck, you know. But this guy like swatted us, like a mosquito's flying around, lands on his fucking neck, and he just pow, like instinct, you know. And everyone, like the room, just like everyone looks at him like, you weren't supposed to do that, and he's like, he just like no, like he looks down, but it's all silent. It's all just like this fucking Chaplin movie, you know.
That's amazing.
So many weird moments like that, man.
Yeah.
And then at the end, being able to talk to everyone, you kind of like you rewind the 10 days, and like you get to express again. Goenka even says it, you know. It's like the work is get the work done now, because on that last day you won't be able to meditate. Yeah. Just don't even try. And I was like, fuck you, bro. You don't know what you're talking about, because I'm a dick. Yeah. And I sit there and I hear everyone talking outside, and I just went like I'm like boiling. I'm just okay, fuck it. Like I just go, I'm like, hi, I'm Sammy. What's going on? Like, it was hilarious. It popped out of me like a fucking, I don't know what, like an orgasm, or like I'm being tickled, and I'm trying to pretend that I'm not being tickled, and I just like, like you just freak out.
It's true, man. You know. That silence lift was so weird, getting back into the cafeteria and just like feeling the wave of sound,
the roar, the people
I got excited. Whoa, okay, what? Like it threw me back a step. I'm like, okay,
I literally remember that same moment.
I was like, holy shit, there's a lot of sound here. Okay, let's take her slow. I ate, I went back to meditate, and then I went back to that space, and I was okay. You know, I'm just like, nice. Okay, let's download, integrate, restart, download, integrate, restart. So back to the whole Vipassana. Goenka, he put it perfectly. He said, this is a deep surgical operation of the mind. And that scalpel is going in, and every day it's going in a little bit deeper till it hits the core and the layer and the bottom of where it's going to operate on. And what's happening when you're doing a surgery on an infected area, pus is coming out. You know, and that pus is your conscious and unconscious mind freaking out. All these thoughts are flying through your head of people you've been with years back, what you said to this person 4 years back. Like everything's going on, and to coming to the surface because you're looking inwards. You know,
it feels like you're looking like outwards, like you're zooming out on this big picture that's you, but it's like you're looking in. I don't know. It's like the stop creating thing keeps coming back in my mind, and this stuff just starts bubbling to the surface, like you're saying, the samskara. You know, I love that. Maybe you were getting to it, you know, but like that analogy of the ocean, and there's like, it's like if you make a line in the water, it goes away immediately, but that's a habit. And if you keep doing that habit, you go into the sand, then it stays for like a couple of hours, a couple of days maybe, then the wind takes it. You keep doing those habits, then it hits stone. Now there's a line in the stone. Yeah. It takes fucking years for that shit to vanish. Yeah. And that's what you're doing. You stop making lines for 10 fucking days. Yeah. And a lot of stuff in the surface just goes away. And a lot of that stuff is like you. So there's all the sand lines now that start vanishing, and you're like, what the fuck? What am I? What are all these memories, these connections, these fears, these desires, these aversions, just bang, 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 bang. Yeah. And then that stuff starts fading away, and you start getting glimpses of like the fucking abyss, man. Yeah. The lines in the fucking stone. Yeah. And you're like, Jesus, those are monsters, man. Yeah. You're on the edge of the fucking universe, man, and here there be monsters. It's fucking scary. Like, it's literally like, well, intimidating maybe is a word. And you know, like you every time you tell me that you feel that way also, I always get surprised, because you never act that way. You never let it stop you, and it's fucking lovely. But it's like, you know what I'm saying. Yeah, I know. You feel the exact same fucking way. We all do. Yeah. We fucking all do. I don't know if it's just being human. I don't know if it's society today, blah, 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 but it's common. It's maybe ubiquitous. Like, it's just fucking, c'est là. It's us. Yeah. Anyway.
That's a beautiful analogy. I remember he mentioned the lines, but you brought back a lot of memories. I was trying to figure out how to explain Vipassana in an analogy, and I came up with one. It might be a little bit clunky, but I'll put it out there anyway. And this is like the perfect way. And this technique It's nothing magical. It's very simple. It's so, when an idea is so simple, it's perfect and genius. It's like the technique is so genius at its core and so scientific and so like, fuck yeah, it makes the most sense out of anything I've ever heard. It's like genius.
It's so Buddhist.
Yeah.
It really is.
It was mind blowing. And then feeling the application of the technique, I'm like, yeah, like this is the real work. So the analogy I came up with, and it suits it pretty well. It's like, suppose you have a stalk of basil, and you go to the grocery store. You can buy the basil cut up, or you can buy the basil in the container with the earth and the roots and the stems and the leaves. And you can just water it and it keeps growing, and you actually have basil for quite a long time.
Okay.
So you get that. You come home, you look at the basil more from an aerial view, and there's leaves everywhere. It's chaos. There's maybe you see a few stems, but you don't see the bottom. You just see leaves. And we're talking aerial view, looking from above down. So let's use that as those leaves represent your thoughts. And the stems are more in the unconscious layer of the mind. Okay. And the earth is where it's coming from. So you have the unconscious layers, the stems. Some stems have multiple leaves attached to different ones. So in the unconscious mind, this happened because of this, and that's a thought, which is the leaf. So it's all connected. So you living your life, the leaves are everywhere. It's chaos. There's no order. And then over time, you're just like, you know what? There's something going on. I'm not happy. There's misery. What the fuck is going on? I need to change something. So you do the initial superficial layer. You say, okay, you know what? I'm going to start changing my thought process. I'm going to maybe do yoga. I'm going to do something. And you start trimming away, cutting off leaves. And before you know it, you're left with like maybe 10, 20 leaves. It makes sense. It's clear. And you go, relaxed, stress-free. This is what I want to live like. And you enjoy that moment, whether it's a day, a week, a month, or a year. You're enjoying that silence that you've created. And at the leaf layer, it's usually about a day, and then it starts coming back. So you notice leaves are growing back because it's a plant. You're feeding it. It's growing. And then before you know it, all of a sudden, all the leaves are back. You're like, what the fuck? I worked on myself. Why am I stressed? Why is there misery again? I thought I put the hours in. I did the yoga. I did the meditation. And I'm back in this fucking mindset.
Oh, and there's that insidious moment.
Yeah.
It's something deeper, isn't it?
Yeah. So you dive the submarine a little bit lower. You see the stems. You say, okay, maybe you go to a therapist. Maybe you do some psychedelics. Maybe you start whatever. You really start doing like a Jordan Peterson self-authoring type of program. And you start going deeper to the stems, and you say, oh, okay, I thought like this because when I was younger, my mother or my father said something here, and then that formed, and then, oh, I see the pattern. Okay, it started back then. Okay, let's cut that stem. Boom, stem's gone. Another stem, like, oh, I did this because he said this to me when I was in grade 6, and then I felt ashamed, and then, oh, I'm acting in ashamed my whole life because of that. You cut that stem. Beautiful. The stalk is very clean, neatly put. Maybe some of those stems will never fucking grow back, and you actually did get rid of something. But we'll prolong it because we're in more of the depth. Maybe months, years pass. Things happen, life goes on, things trigger you. You've worked through a lot of shit. You haven't seen those stems in a long time, but something hits you, and those stems start growing right back. Because it's a plant, you water it, it grows back. And they grow, and then you're getting anxiety and misery, and everything's like, what the fuck? I did all the work. I did all the fucking work, and it's still miserable. I'm still miserable. Why? Why am I miserable? And that's where this technique is so pure and so genius. It's because we've been looking at the stems and the leaves this whole time. But to really get to the fucking bottom of your misery is you got to go to the roots. And the roots are not thoughts. Thoughts are what we've labeled on top of those sensations and feelings. When you get to the roots, what is that? Okay, that's something that made it grow. What made it grow? This is where the technique starts to get really interesting. It's the subatomic level of the body and the mind. Okay, and this is where everything starts from. Reactions to sensations, stimulus that hits the body, and then there's a sensation. Your mind categorizes that sensation, puts a label, good, bad, avert, go towards, crave, aversion, and then the roots start to grow. So what this technique does is it makes you look at the sensation level. So you go past the mind, further to the roots, and you look inwards and say, I feel something here. This is pain. I don't like pain. Categorize as pain, don't like, avoid. And then you start building a stem towards avoiding that pain your whole life whatever it was. And I had a few examples that actually really illustrate this for some people that still don't catch on. Is suppose you're a newborn, okay, and we don't have much of an unconscious mind at that stage. We barely have a mind. We're just acting on our impulses and our survival mechanisms. So let's go with the first time feeling cold, okay? Maybe it was your arm that felt cold initially, your left arm. Let's just use that example.
Probably freezing when you pop out of your mom.
Yeah,
you're just like,
right away. You're already crying.
This?
Yeah, because you're born into this world through misery. So there's already misery that your stems are growing and everything's already happening just at the fucking birth canal. But let's say you're a baby, you're cold, freezing, your arm's cold, you start panicking. What's happening is there's a temperature change at the surface level, the deepest level. There's a reaction, a chemical reaction. Okay, that sends signals to the mind. That's where the ego forms. This is not a good sensation. Okay, this is a bad sensation. And then boop, that leaf pops up with the stem. Bad sensation. How do we avoid it? Your mother came up to you, she grabbed you, warmed you up. Another leaf came up. Oh, warmth, love. That got rid of that feeling of cold, loneliness. Okay. And then that's how that stem starts to form and grow and build. And then your whole life, things just from that sensation, you don't even know where it started from because that's the core. You're adding leaves to that stem. And that's a negative one. We'll use it a positive one. You're a baby, same newborn. Maybe your eye's working a little bit better, and your uncle is playing peekaboo with you, and you're laughing. He shows your face, you crack up, he hides it, it's gone. And then all of a sudden you're like, I like it when he's entertaining me. I don't like it when he stops entertaining me. So that stem pops up, that biochemical reaction at the body level. Okay, sensation feels good, pops up. I like more of entertainment. When it's not there, I feel sad. I feel unfulfilled. I feel unentertained. I don't like that. Another leaf forms. And these categories are growing in everything we fucking do. Good and bad, avert, go towards, crave, aversion, right? And that's the fucking Vipassana. It's going to the sensory level of the deep subconscious mind and unconscious mind and the deep level of the actual biochemical body. Working at the sensory level, the sensations. Seeing the sensations with the philosophy of anicca, the law of impermanence, that those sensations will pass. If you attach to it, then they're going to stay and form the sankharas, like they say. And then if you observe the sensation with an equanimous mind, a mind with no reaction, then you're slowly killing the roots and pulling the roots out. And that's how I formed it. And I think it nails it. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, man, you got me right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what to add to that. It's amazing.
Yeah. So that's what Buddha figured out. He went to the tree. He said, and Goenka said this, and when he said this, it really hit me hard because, when you hear something, you hear something. But when you unpack what is said, there's a lot of deep depth to what he said. And he said specifically, I'm going to sit here in meditation until I'm enlightened. And until I'm enlightened, and the wind will have to blow my bones away for me to move. Even then I won't move, but the wind will have to blow my bones away. Now, if you really unpack that, like at the surface, it's just like, that's pretty intense. But
it's like poetic and like exaggerated, but it's like, no. No,
but that level of commitment, he was willing to die, like 100% disattached from that idea of death. And that's how he achieved enlightenment. It's literally how he got there. He put himself out there, fucking no hesitation, no attachment. And that's what came from it, So when
it seems like the act to get the enlightenment, but it's like that meant he was already getting there or gotten there already or something. But then it's like to sit there and to internalize it or to express it biologically, like you said, or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's fucked up to think that like the Vipassana, the technique, but also the environment, the schooling idea, the 10 days, like all of that is directly from Gautama Buddha. Yeah. Like
in its purity.
Yeah, there's like a group of monks who preserved his teachings perfectly for whatever fucking, 5,000 years?
2,500.
Oh, okay. I thought it was way longer than that. I'm bad at history, but
they said he rediscovered it, so it was way older, probably, right?
Well, I mean, I guess because he just sat there and felt, and he's like, "This is what a human is, huh?" Because he's a human, and he's like, "Okay, cool. I'm gonna stop creating. oh, cool. I'm enlightened. You know, I love how that's my Buddha voice. Oh, cool.
Someone needs to make an animation of that.
That's it. He sounds like fucking Keanu Reeves when he was younger. No offense, that guy's pretty enlightened too.
Yeah.
From what we see anyway. Maybe he's a fucking Illuminati crazy boy.
I hope not. I love that guy, man. I hope not.
But yeah,
no,
man.
I hope you're part of the good team.
Yeah, man. Let's get him on.
Yeah. You never know.
Keanu,
One day.
what does your name mean, bro?
Keanu.
When's Bill and Ted 3 coming out or whatever?
I just want to hear when he's a kid, like his parents calling his name out for the first time, like Keanu. It's dinner time, Keanu.
Keanu. What's like a nickname for Keanu?
Yo, Key.
Yo, Special K.
Special K. But yeah, man. That's fucking Vipassana. That's how I spent 10 days trying to design a way to explain it. You know? And
yeah, man. When I was there, I realized how much I think about conversations. Like I realized a lot of shit about myself. It's like I could talk about that forever, but I let's put it this way. I realized that I had like an insecurity about seeming intelligent because I thought I was stupid. And I still have a hard time letting go of that because I feel like it fuels me to learn, but it doesn't. It just makes me scared and it hinders me. There's times I do things out of fear, but it never sustain it. It's a shitty energy. You know, it's like putting fucking vodka in your car. you know, like it doesn't. It might work a little, but it doesn't do the trick for long.
It's not gonna last.
And so I mean, I just at first it was just happening, and I'm like statu quo, like this is just how my brain works. I didn't even notice, but then you know you have so much time on your hands, you're just observing, and the moments in and out of meditation start melting into one thing. You know, it's not I'm meditating now. He even starts saying the goal is to do this with your eyes open. The goal is to do this outside, but you're learning this here now so that the wind doesn't distract you or some crazy shit like that. Yeah. You know, so. Like you have like a certain way of thinking, certain way of being, then you're sitting and then it's still there and you're like, oh shit, I have to be equanimous. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to watch what happens and just let this do its thing.
Yeah.
Because you don't be equanimous. You cultivate it. You earn it. You gain it. You don't just like, okay, everything's just the way it is and I'm chill.
No.
There's that Buddha voice again.
No, you have to experience it.
Yeah. You gotta, I like the word cultivate. I'll stick with that one because you're talking about plants and this beautiful like imagery, and I mean I had this like bonk head epiphany like a few months ago where I realized like everything I'm doing is like a plant, and I have some shitty plants in my head too, but it's like I'm watering stuff. I'm literally growing shit. Like I have a piano playing plant. I have a like complaining plant. I have a reading plant. I have a writing plant, a poetry plant, a music plant. Like I just have all these fucking plants in my head, and I'm just like watering the fucking weed and video games plant like for a week straight sometimes, and I don't even notice. And then there's these huge plants that like have a mind of their own and like demand more water or whatever. And it's like I'm surprised after, you know. Anyway, I could talk about that forever, but that was something crazy for me. And I also kind of inevitably like had conversations in my mind with people that would resist. They'd be like, because I was already impressed, I was already amazed by this experience, and I knew one friend of mine, I think I told you already, he was going to be like, give me the highlights, you know, like I don't need to go, you just tell me give me the secrets kind of thing. Like I did some fucking Freemason crash course or something, and I knew I was like, I know I can't transmit it. The point is you have to be silent for 10 days. The point is
you have to walk the path. You have to do the work.
That's the set and setting, if you will. Yeah. You know, like the way we talk about ceremony. Like this is one 10-day fucking ceremony, and instead of ayahuasca, you just have to sit. Let's do this sit, bro. Like this is crazy. Yeah. And the only thing I can come up with was, and I mean I've heard it afterwards because it's just it's like a common analogy, but it's the fruit of the tree. I cannot taste for you. I told you this is a sweet ass fruit, but you got to go to the tree and you got to eat the fruit. Yeah. Like, or else I'm just telling you a story. And then you're just like, okay, like you're not getting, there's nothing you're getting out of that.
No.
It's not even information for some purpose of usage. It's literally just a story. I can't even, What am I gonna do? Sit you down and tell you like how to body scan and blah blah blah? Like, no man, you gotta do it. You really gotta do it. Yeah. And that's like, you know how lucky we are that those monks were like, okay, don't change a thing.
They kept it,
like,
man.
yeah, smash cut 2,000 years later, and some
thing.
fucking white boys in Montreal are figuring out how to, you know, be one with themselves or
it's
whatever.
Nuts. I'm so blessed that's here.
Yeah.
It's fucking here, man. It's 2 hours away. You can find your enlightenment over the years, you know?
Yeah. And you said before, like, it's hard to find those 10 days, you know, but there's always that joke also in the community where they say, like, you should meditate like an hour a day. Yeah. And if that's too much, then you should meditate 2 hours a day. You know, it's like, make the fucking time.
It's true.
You know, anyone listening to this, anyone who's like a friend says, oh, you should try this, because, you know, it's like you were alluding to it before, you know, like it's good to have that time, because when you pop out, you're telling all your friends. Yeah. Same thing with the ceremony. Same thing with, you know, if you take some shrooms or something, you go to Burning Man. Same thing with Vipassana. You get out of there and you're like, let's go. You're like, you need to do this. You need to do this. You look like you know, but you need to do this. You're like delegating.
That's it, man. And that's the only way to truly get to the root of your misery, man. That's what I realized. It's like, we have all these fucking things. We have no control over our mind because the roots are crazy. The stems are crazy. And we have no control over the stems either until we get to the roots. And how do you get to the roots? They're above thought. It's before thought. They were formed at the core, at the depth, you know, sensation level. Something fucking changed at the chemical level of your body. And then you reacted to that. And that it was something someone said to you or something happened to you that formed a trauma or a stress or some type of feeling that you've labeled and you've put in your category box, because that's what the ego does. It just prints fucking labels.
And you think it's thoughts and you think it's you and you think it's all that stuff, but it's like those are downstream fucking dominoes just clinking away.
Yeah, those are symptoms.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's crazy to admit that, because it's like, oh, I'm just like who you are is a symptom in a way. And like, I not to downgrade it, but like, 'tis what it is, you know?
Yeah.
Like, fuck, it's again, kind of raining some freedom on people when you say something like that. Like who I am has all these pros and cons. If I can just kind of throw it off like a piece of clothing, you know, and like modify it, manipulate it, wash it, dirty it, fuck it, you know, whatever. Yeah. Not fuck it. I mean, like, fuck it. I guess fuck it too. I don't know. Yeah. Do what you want, guys. But yeah, it's the. I mean, I keep, my mind keeps going back to this plant analogy now. It was perfect, because it's like the looking downward, like you said. That's when you really hooked me. I even closed my eyes and was listening to you, because it's like you can't even see the soil. The plant is overgrown. The plant is in the way. You have to start chopping through these leaves like a fucking. Like you're walking through the Amazon, like in those movies, you know, you got a machete and shit. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, like maybe it's the roots, maybe it's the soil, maybe it's the gardener. I don't want to like mess with your analogy too much, but like it's the roots. There's a depth, there's a down under. And then maybe if we even talk about karma, it's like, yeah, where did the seeds come from? Where did the soil come from? Like you start getting crazy about it. But anicca, equanimity, you need those things, because all of that shit could either pile on to your guilt and your shame and all that fucking shit, and you think even your soul like is making you deserve the bad karma of your life. Let all that shit go. That's not how it works. Calm the fuck down. We're all here. Everything's perfect. The only thing that's not perfect is your definition of perfection. I love saying that. I love dropping that bomb on people. And even that's perfect, because we gotta learn, and then we gotta die, and then I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what Gwenka said. He said, like, past lives, future lives, I don't know, but this life is the one that you do know, and this is the life that you can fucking change and do whatever you need to do, you know? It's nice to think of, like, the philosophy of karma makes so much sense, of past lives. Like, it's just a beautiful story, but I only know this story, you know?
Yeah, but it's not a story. Like, this is your life. You're feeling this. And then maybe a lot of, like, the roots, it all feels like a story now. And then, like you said, you even go past the mind, and it's literally your body. It's like I was saying before, like, this is the reality. The past doesn't exist anymore. It's just all this momentum, all this karma, all this action leading into the creation of now. It's all just labels, man. Like, I'm kind of circling around myself, but it's
your categories. You're putting everything into boxes in your mind, you know? And
I'm good at that.
We're masters of it. We're masters of labels. You know?
We're label makers.
We said that in a podcast, and it's so true. I picture every time it's like in the Matrix, the key maker. He has a key for every door in the Matrix. It's just like a fucking keys everywhere. It's just we're printing out, we're forming new boxes, new categories, just to make sense out of this whole fucking experience.
Yeah.
But in the funny part of that is it's actually complicating the whole experience more.
It's limiting it a little, and then you fall into a fear of misunderstanding, a fear of the unknown, or like the unknown just makes you uncomfortable, and then that leads to fear. That's why the aversion and craving understanding is so important. Yeah, man. It's fuck, man. It's crazy.
Gwenka had a beautiful story that he said in one of the discourses, and like you're in such a vulnerable state in those 10 days, like all walls are gone, you know?
Yeah.
So like words mean a lot, and he's just speaking with such purity, and like you could just fucking say the cheesiest line and you'd be like, oh, it's so true, you know? But he had a great story that it still resonates. It wasn't just in that state. Like that story's perfect. And it's about changing yourself, or changing people in general, whatever. And someone goes to this husband and says, how's your life? And the husband says, you know, my life is perfect. It's going so well. Everything's so perfect. But you know what? And then he says, how's your wife? He says, everything's perfect. But if my wife changes one thing, just one thing, it'd be perfect. So then he goes to the wife. Okay, how's your husband? Oh, he's amazing. He's perfect. But, you know, if he just changed this one little thing, it'd be perfect. So the guy goes to the kid, the son, says, how's your parents? Oh, you know, I'm so blessed, a beautiful family, amazing parents. But if they both just change one more thing, it'd make it perfect. Go to the sister. How do you feel about your brother? Oh, he's amazing, perfect. But if he changes one more thing, it'd be perfect. Goes to the fucking father-in-law of the son. You know, my son-in-law is so perfect, but if he changed one last thing, it's perfect.
You ever watch the Jackie Chan Adventures?
No. Oh, yeah.
One more thing.
One more thing. Yeah, it's that. One more thing. I was ringing your head the whole time. Right?
I couldn't help myself.
So then he goes to the mother-in-law of the daughter. How's your daughter-in-law? She's amazing, but if she changes one more thing, it's perfect. So extrapolate that to the whole fucking family tree. What did everyone not say? If I change one thing about myself, it would be perfect. You know, and it's like we're all pointing at everyone. It's like we're in like the movie theater with our popcorn, looking at everyone, saying, "Oh, he's got to change this. He's got to change that. They got to change that." But it's never looking in a mirror saying, "Fuck, maybe if I change that." You know, and that's the path of enlightenment. That's putting the mirror up and saying, oh, it's all happening because of me and the way I react to it. Nothing more than that. You know, how am I attaching to what that person said to me? That person said something to me, it passed. I'm attaching to what they said and holding on to it, and it's burning me inside for months to go, whatever, you know?
That's some big boy pants shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's, you know, people can throw examples that are pretty heavy topics, like someone saying something to you is pretty vanilla. It can go fucking deep and like big traumas. And then realizing in those big traumas that, oh, yeah, it happened, but you got to forgive yourself, not that person, yourself. It's nothing to do with that person.
Yeah, it's a hard conversation to have where it's like someone is clearly in need of some assistance or some recovery, but at the same time, maybe in an appropriate moment, you want to like start chipping away and like just dehydrating that fucking victim mentality. Because it's like admitting where you are and the damage you have without any of the fear, I guess. Because the victim mentality is the story, and it's the giving into the fear and everything we talked about.
Yeah.
Plant fear, harvest fear.
And you can hold on to that story, but it's not going to make you happy, and it's going to build that misery even stronger. You know, and some people are dealt with the worst tests, you know, whether it's past karmas or whatever. They're dealt with it in this world, and it's a fucking bitch, you know. I sympathize, and I'm blessed that I don't have, knock on wood, those kind of situations. But that's everyone's test, man. And it's the only way to get out of that loop, that vicious cycle of, because if someone does something horrifying to you, they did it in that moment, whether it was an hour, a minute, or whatever. You can hold on to that moment for years. And until you face yourself, it's just going to eat you away, man, and destroy you deep inside at the core. And that misery won't get resolved until you say, look, it's how I'm reacting to this pain. It's this pain is happened, and now it's my reaction that's causing this pain. It's nothing to do with what happened anymore. It's how it makes me feel. And, you know, and like, it's like Mathieu, you know, someone murdered his mother, you know, someone very,
oh my God.
Yeah. Like
I didn't know that.
The mother's boyfriend, you know, he murdered his mother. And when I heard that story, I understood, but after Vipassana, I really understood, like, he's at a very deep level in his practice because he forgave that himself. And he even sent the guy like a fucking letter to the prison and said, like, I forgive you, I forgive myself. Like, they gave him a fucking heartfelt letter with a book to read, you know?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the way to describe that is like,
wow.
The way he described it was that guy's pain was so strong, so overwhelming that he had to take someone else's life to try to get rid of that pain. And that's, you know, and like, that's some deep shit, man, you know? To come to a level of forgiving someone for doing something like that, or forgiving yourself in the process. Like, we know Mathieu, and it's not at a superficial level. Like, it's not intellectually saying sorry. Like, he literally came to terms with that.
Whatever, I didn't know that, but like, just from meeting him, whatever poison he can be choosing to drink from his past, he's clearly not. I don't know how well I can tell, how well I know people, but seeing the kind of attention and space that this guy has for people, like, that's just, I'm at a loss of words. Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah.
And beautiful in a crazy way. But like, I'm also kind of horrified right now.
Yeah, man, but it's that's it though. Like, everyone's dealt something. Some is fucking, I can't even imagine that happening, you know? But it happens, you know? And the only way to overcome it is you roll with the punches, you observe it for what it is, and you work through it at the deepest level, you know? Otherwise, it's going to dictate your life, you know? It's going to direct your life even. Like we spoke about with the fear, and like how you notice things that the decisions you make out of fear will affect the future, because even looking back, you can correct it and it will change your future, but you're literally going on a direction because of those kind of pains that you've harnessed inside, you know? And it might not be at like a drastic change in your life, but there's directions you're going based off the past. And so if you're held by fear, most of your decisions in the future will be limited, will be suppressed, sometimes unconsciously, because there's fear holding you back, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like at a biological level, like you were saying, but it's also like you're making decisions in fear. You're going to be in this narrative of fear. You're going to, like, let's say you take the wrong job for you because you're not doing something for you now. You're doing something out of fear. You know, you start going in directions where there's no other modality but to continue being afraid. Yeah. I wish I had better examples because it's like clear in my mind, and it's something I've repeated a lot lately, but like, fear really does give you more fear choices. Like, you're playing this, you know, choose your own adventure, and you keep choosing fear. And it's like playing a video game where you're like making the guy be evil. Like, the evil choices get easier or something. Or like you keep going, you go more like to that 100% of that version or that ending or whatever. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, and that's it. And so it's like, so until you really release the attachments to whatever it is that's fucked you up, your whole life will be tainted, you know? So you have to release that attachment, no matter how hard it is. You know?
Keep releasing it. Keep
releasing it, you know, watering the releasing plant. Yeah.
You gotta stop watering the other plant. Oh yeah, we gotta go. Huh?
Yeah, we got a few minutes.
We do? Oh wow, I thought we went over. Well, I don't know, man. Like, it's hard for me sometimes to talk that way because I feel like I've had an easy life, and to tell someone who's been like fucking, I don't know, you know, suffered a murder of one of their parents, or been like sexually violated, or like lost a limb, or even just someone who's had like consistent PTSD because of like some low rumbling traumas in their childhood, or like went to war or something. Like, I just can't relate to most of those. Yeah. And I don't know. My only kind of wiggle out of that is like I'm learning to be really grateful, and that's it.
And that's all you can do.
It's because it's almost like you feel guilty and you don't want to like embrace what you have.
Yeah.
But like they must feel that way at a crazy level, and it's like, oh, I'm in this dumb cycle of fear again.
Yeah.
You know, like who am I helping by drinking the poison? The Buddha. That's a Buddhist quote. That's a Buddha quote.
Yeah.
It says that the anger is drinking poison and thinking the other guy is gonna get poison.
Yes.
And it's like, dude, what are you doing to yourself?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Let's end it on that, brother.
Let's, man.
Yeah.
And just, you know what I haven't done yet, but like everyone listening, like we know most of you.
Yeah.
This is small right now.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's fucking true.
We fucking love you.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And you give us a lot of feedback, and just thank you. Just thank you.
This is like, whoever's listening, this is the beginning, and like that's gratitude. Like, fuck, I can't believe it. Like, it feels so natural to say it now, but like fuck, man.
Oh, because you hear it on other podcasts, like, hey, thanks guys.
Yeah, but
thanks
like,
for listening. But like, I know your faces, like, you know who you are. You
Yeah.
know, like, I won't say names because we'll be here for another 20 minutes. But like,
all of you,
I love you guys.
Yeah, this is really the support we're getting, at least at the micro level. It's incredible, and it's motivating to continue.
And it is growing, which is making me so happy because I just like doing this.
Yeah,
I fucking love doing this.
It's fucking cool, huh?
It's fun as hell.
It really, really is, man. And so whoever's on this journey with us, fuck yeah, reach out, send us messages or whatever it is, give us feedback. You know, CuriousChimps.com, whatever, Facebook. Just throw us a message. Like, we're all ears.
And don't give in to fear.
Don't give in to fear. All right. Wow, brother.
Oh shit!
I think that was a good one.
I think that was a good one.